Back once again for another Labyrinth / UFC breakdown full fight card prediction video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming UFC Fight Night, Holm vs Vieira. If you enjoy the fight, smash the like, smash that subscribe button for more UFC breakdowns and betting talk coming your way. We got a banger to get into. Let's get straight into it. First fight, Elise versus Sam Hughes. Low-level women's MMA fight kicking the night off. We got Sam Hughes coming in here off a winner last time out, which I think was only like a month or so ago. For me, she kind of tries to be like a jack-of-all-trades type of fighter. Problem is, she isn't quite good enough in any area to really pose much of a threat. Her striking can look decent when she's on offense, but her footwork is far too amateurish for it to be set up effectively. She mainly just uses her pressure to overwhelm, which will be effective against some of the girls she's going to be facing. The opponent, Elise, the kickboxer, is going to be the much better and more seasoned striker in a fight that more than likely will largely be contested on the feet. Unless Sam can consistently find a way to take her down, Reed will have the advantage in large portions of this one, so I got to go with Elise, but not much in the way of confidence at all. Yeah, seek help if you guys are betting this one, but Elise is the pick. Next fight, Chase Hooper versus Felipe Colares. Good matchmaking right here as we got two fairly inexperienced young grapplers facing off. You got Chase Hooper, of course, young kid, great submission grappling, but limited stand-up. Chase is going to have a huge size advantage in this one that I think is probably going to be negated by the fact that Felipe Colares is just the better striker on the feet. On the ground, Chase Hooper is always live to catch submission in a mad scramble and end the fight that way, but I like that Felipe Colares is a high-level BJJ player in his own right because it gives him a better chance of avoiding that here. I have absolutely no betting interest in this fight whatsoever, as I could see it going either way, but my pick is going to be the more well-rounded guy right here, so give me Felipe Colares. Good fight right here. Jonathan Martinez versus Vince Morales. Johnny the Dragon Martinez is a solid Muay Thai striker with a nice kicking game and decent counters with the punches. He wants to do his work out at range. He's not as effective in close, and his ability to take a shot isn't the greatest. The opponent, Vince Morales, is a scrappy pressure fighter who does his best work with his hands. He's got sound fundamental boxing technique and a great chin. He's going to need to watch out for the head kicks and flying knees of Martinez, but I like the fact that Vince Morales has never been knocked out. I think this is a close fight that could come down to who is pressuring the other guy a little bit more. You know, Jonathan Martinez is great when he's fighting a guy who will strike at range with him. Problem is, I don't think Vince Morales is going to give him that pretty outside kickboxing fight that he wants. I see Vince Morales staying a bit busier with the hands, moving forward, and crushing down space on Martinez. So yeah, fight could go either way for sure, but give me the underdog, Vince Morales. Interesting fight up next. We got Omar Morales versus Uros Medic. So Uros Medic is a talented prospect who likes to get out ahead of guys early, pour on the pressure, and get you out of there quick. My big problem with him, though, is he hasn't really fought anybody. You look at the guys he's beaten, and they're all not very good. The one time he did step up in competition, he got smoked out by Jalen Turner. I think this is a perfect live bet spot because Medic is going to come out here and look good in round one, but his opponent, Omar Morales, is a tough dude who's not easy to put away, so if Medic can't finish him inside 5 minutes, look for him to fall off in the second round and get finished by Omar Morales pretty early on there. I think this is a violent spot. Either Uros Medic is going to overwhelm and stop Omar Morales early, or Omar Morales is going to get his first stoppage victory in the UFC at some point a little later on. I've been back and forth on this one, but the more I think about it, I just like how Omar Morales fights on the feet. His striking is just sharp, and he has excellent right-hand counter. you know what? I think I am going to side with the durability and strength of schedule for Morales. And since this is an open stance fight, meaning we have the more experienced orthodox fighter in Morales taking on the wild southpaw and Medic, I think that's going to set up a lot of opportunities for Morales to use his better footwork to score with some clean right hands and back leg high kicks. He's just a good, well-balanced fighter, and I expect him to ride out an early storm and stop his man here. Give me Omar Morales. Heavyweight fight up, Parker Porter versus Jailton Almeida. Weird matchup of the card right here as Jailton Almeida moves up to heavyweight to take on short notice replacement Parker Porter. Jailton Almeida is a strong Brazilian guy who likes to take his opponents down so he can work his outstanding submission game. On the other side, Parker Porter is a grizzled veteran with decent stand-up striking and a crushing ground game when he can get on top. However, I think it's going to be Jailton Almeida relentlessly pursuing the takedowns here, and once it hits the ground, Parker Porter is going to be in over his head skill-wise. It's likely going to be a little bit more difficult than the line would indicate for Almeida to move the big man around and get his offense going, but I do have him finding the sub on Porter eventually. I think that the money line's gotten way out of hand for any type of action on him here, but give me Jailton Almeida by finish. Joe Holmes versus Alan Obadovsky up next. Ugly Mane Joe Holmes is a good young prospect out of Texas who has nice power in his hands, but he really wants to grapple in his fights because he has a very nasty submission game. His striking isn't very good, honestly. He hasn't quite yet grasped the concept of getting back to space after breaking the clinch, and he's sloppy in his attack on the feet. When you're fighting someone, you don't want obstacles behind you limiting your ability to move and evade when you need to. You're not Anderson Silva, you're not Floyd Mayweather. Get your back off that cage and circle back out at the center of that octagon. Also, hopefully he's worked on his cardio because he gassed out bad in the third round of his last fight. His opponent, Alan Obadovsky, is a brawler with decent wrestling himself, but his instinct to step into the pocket and chuck wild haymakers usually negates any type of comprehensive game plan he may have. The guy hasn't fought in quite a long time, which makes it tough to have any faith in either side here, but I definitely think the no distance play is probably a smart way to go here. So not a top ticket play by any means, but I'll take Joe Holmes to get his head screwed on straight and get the job done this time. Jinyoung Park versus Eric Anders up. I really like the Iron Turtle, Jinyoung Park. He's going to be far away the better striker here. He has quick feet, nice low leg kicks, and he loves to throw that beautiful right hand left hook combination. He's really good with that. Grappling wise, he's not bad. He's much better with his top game than he is off his back, and that could play a factor here. The opponent, Eric Anders, is an athletic big man who likes to come forward and throw big power shots, but he's not the technician that Park is on the feet. In terms of experience, this is a pretty well matched even fight that I've struggled with thinking about who's going to win it. I think that since moving to the Fight Ready gym, Eric Anders is much improved. He was never a guy who was known for his fight IQ, and that's something that good coaching like that can help tremendously with. This may be more of a narrative pick for me, but I like where Eric Anders' head is at coming into this. He's confident in his preparation here, but he isn't overlooking his opponent at all, and I like that. I think that his team will recognize that he needs to use his size advantage in this spot and really look to lean on Jinyoung Park right here. If you let a guy like Park pressure you and set up his offensive wrestling attack on his terms, you're fighting his fight. But if you get him on his back foot and you put the turtle on his back, then that's obviously going to be to your benefit. So yeah, not a high confidence pick for me by any means, but I'll go on a limb and take the dog shot on Eric Anders. All right, up next we got Pollyanna Viana versus Tabitha Hichi. Fun fight to tape right here. It's a grappler's delight as you got high-level BJJ black belts facing off here. Pollyanna Viana, 2015 BJJ world champion, who's rising high off the strength of 2 straight wins. Now, she hasn't fought in well over a year, so it's possible she could have made some drastic improvements to her overall game, but from what we know about her stand-up is nowhere near the level of her grappling. She really wants to pull guard and throw submissions up off her back because on the feet, she's extremely hittable. Her offense to defense is basically non-existent, and she hasn't developed much technique in her striking. Her opponent, Tabitha Hichi, is my personal favorite fighter to watch in tights, if you know what I mean. She's a good, strong wrestler with a variety of different throws and takedowns at her disposal that she can use to implement her top control heavy ground game. From standing, she'll be the sharper striker of the two. Hichi surprised her last opponent, who was a striker on the feet, with how quick and explosive she is. Her footwork isn't the best, but she has decent timing and she has more than adequate head movement when pressing forward. If we end up getting a situation where two grapplers can't cancel each other out and it becomes a stand-up fight, Tabitha Hichi is going to be carrying the action here. For my money, I think Tabitha Hichi is good enough on the ground to stay safe on top, not try to do too much, and win a dominant decision in this one. I'll take Tabitha Hichi in the battle of Brazilian hotties, and if you're like my boy Noah and you pick some of these chick fights based on the fatter ass theory, oh, you already know it's Tabitha Hichi all day, boys. Up next, Chidi Njokuani versus Duško Todorovic. So the biggest thing to know about this matchup is the lesser experienced guy, Duško Todorovic, has that bad tall man defense. He leaves his chin on a platter for guys in the middle of an exchange, and that's going to be a major issue for him against Chidi. Chidi Njokuani is going to be the more well-rounded of the two, and I see his power being too much for a guy whose defense is a liability like that to overcome. Real straightforward pick for me on this one. I'll take Chidi Njokuani here, and the inside the distance prop on him could be very interesting as well. Give me Chidi Njokuani. Hey, excellent co-main event up. Santiago Ponzinibio versus Michel Pereira. Great fight right here. Michel Pereira is that guy who you never know what he's going to do next. He could be working a tight point fighting attack at distance 1 minute, and then he could be doing backflips and kicking you in the head the next. Big guy who always brings an entertaining show. Michel Pereira is looking to take someone out in a violent spectacle every time out. The opponent, Santiago Ponzinibio, he's that old dog you can never count out of a fist fight. I call him a technical brawler. He wants to brutalize your leg and then strategically get inside on you, hurting you with power shots. Now, Ponzi can wrestle, but he doesn't really push the takedown enough for me to think that it's going to be a big factor in this fight. I actually think the bigger factor could be Michel Pereira's athleticism in fending off the occasional takedown attempt and getting back to space. Santiago Ponzinibio's offense to defense is a bit lacking at times, and he can get caught leaning too far forward after some of his shots, which is going to be a bad thing against a guy who has as nasty an overhand right as Pereira does. I see that particular punch looping around the guard of Ponzinibio and potentially clipping him behind the ear at some point. Fight of the night candidate, I think, right here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see either guy take the win, but for this pick, I got Michel Pereira getting the hard-fought decision victory in a close scrap. And in the main event, we got Holm versus Ketlen Vieira. Real simple fight to break down right here, guys. You got Holm always looking to strike at range and keep a nice clean fight right behind her crisp jab at all times. And on the other side, you'll have Ketlen Vieira looking to get inside that energy and force an ugly grapple heavy type fight. I think Vieira could find some success crashing the pocket on Holly if she does a good job of cutting off the cage and if she works behind her own jab. But I'm not sure if that will be able to hold up in the championship rounds should it go that long, considering Holly has such huge advantages and experience in cardio. I see Holly using her superior footwork and timing to keep that fight going her way for the most part. So give me Holly Holm in another impressive performance. And that's going to do it for this one, guys. Comment who you think are the best plays of the card and be on the lookout for an in-depth betting breakdown. I'm going to try to have that one up sometime later tonight, so be sure to check that out. Now, after this event, we are going to have a week off, so y'all be ready for that. And I do have some things hopefully coming down the pipe, some big things on the horizon over here, so check me out, guys. But for now, it's your boy Big Ear here reminding you to hit that subscribe and ring the bell. And as always, be sure to subscribe to Mr. Arkansas on YouTube for the craziest live streams and the very best MMA prediction competitions. Until next time, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.